Hey everybody, it's Rick Uzzi. I am here with my daily stream on the Broadband Infrastructure Bill. Today's topic are the reporting requirements that service providers are going to have to do, at least as far as we know for now. Be right back. Thanks for joining me. Again, I'm Rick Uzzi here with Zquorum, and I am on a daily basis, pretty much every day, going through the Broadband Infrastructure Bill. And today my topic is the reporting requirements. So there are requirements for the states or the eligible entities, and I went over that a couple of days ago. So if you missed that, you can look at our YouTube channel and find that. There's a playlist for these broadband deployment infrastructure kinds of broadcasts, so you can check that out. Today we're going to be talking about the states, and I say as far as we know now, because this could certainly change. We're just going to go over what's currently in the Act, and just be realizing that there could be changes as the NTIA firms all this stuff up. So first of all, what we know is that there's going to be a semi-annual report from the providers. This must be submitted to the state or the eligible entity. Whenever you see eligible entity in the Act, they're talking about generally the states. For the duration of the subgrant, to track the effectiveness of the use of the funds provided. So throughout the time you get these subgrant, you get these funds, and then as you're making use of those funds, and you'll be getting the funds from the state, so as you're making use of these funds, then you will have to be reporting on how you're using those, the effectiveness of that, those kinds of things. And that's I know it's very vague, not surprisingly. So again, I think there will be more, well, I know there will be more details on this as we go on. So again, the way this works is the federal government is going to go to the states to find out how much money they need for their area. And the states, there's certain formulas that they can do to figure out who gets what, that kind of thing. So the states are going to get the money. Then the states are going to be going to the service providers in the state or people that want to be service providers in the state to then allocate those funds to them for particular areas. So you might be a municipality or an electric membership co-op, a utility of some kind that is not providing broadband, but you want to get funds under this, so you could apply for that. So goes to the federal government first, then goes to the states, and then the reporting. I don't know if this reporting may go back to the state or may go back to the federal government, but the federal government will be letting you know what needs to be in the report. So again, must be submitted twice a year, and the effectiveness of the use of the funds, and then must describe each type of project carried out using the subgrant and during the duration of the subgrant. So this is going to go on while you have those funds or making use of them. You're going to have to do this semi-annual report. What else do we have? So that's for everything. That's for any money that you get under this Infrastructure Act. Now specifically and there's things that you can be doing with that money besides actually deploying a broadband infrastructure project. There's other things in the Act that you could be doing. But in this case, for reporting for broadband infrastructure products, there are some specifics that they lay out. Must include a list of addresses or locations that constitute the service locations that will be served by the broadband infrastructure to be constructed. So this is kind of a before the fact kind of thing where this could be, again, going on throughout the whole time as you're doing the reporting. But certainly in the first report, you're going to be reporting, here's all the addresses and locations that we're targeting. So that's kind of the first step. And then also describe the types of facilities that have been constructed and installed. So as this goes on, you're going to describe what you're going to be doing, and then as you start installing these facilities, doing these projects, then you're going to be describing what you have already constructed and installed. Identify whether each address or location is residential, commercial, or a community anchor institution. So they actually describe a community anchor institution in the bill. So this is exactly what it says. The term community anchor institution means an entity such as a school, library, health clinic, health center, hospital or other medical provider, public safety entity, institution of higher education, public housing organization, or community support organization that facilitates greater use of broadband service by vulnerable populations, including low-income individuals, unemployed individuals, and aged individuals. So all of these could be anchor institutions, but there is this other part of that where it needs to be facilitating greater use of broadband service by these specific vulnerable populations. So it may be that a hospital doesn't do that. So maybe the hospital, even though it's normally considered an anchor institution, if they don't have a program that's promoting and facilitates greater use of broadband, then maybe that doesn't apply. But then again, some hospitals may go ahead and implement that if they have these funds that they can get. So there's just a couple of things there that it lists what these institutions are, but also this requirement that it be facilitating greater use of broadband. And additionally, describe the peak and off-peak actual speeds of the broadband service being offered. So they want to know, what kind of speeds people are getting during peak times. So that could be, well, let's see, peak and off-peak. Yeah, so during peak times, so that 8 p.m., for example, when everybody's home using the internet, streaming lots of Netflix and Disney and that kind of stuff, they want to know what the speeds are then, and they also want to know off-peak. So what's it like, maybe, there's not many off-peak times these days, especially since the pandemic, but let's say the middle of the night, what is it off-peak on the broadband service being offered? And I'm sure that's going to be, you'll find that that's going to be on probably every single tier that you would offer. I would think that they'll require that. Describe the maximum advertised speed of the broadband service being offered, and then describe the non-promotional prices, including any associated fees charged for the different tiers of broadband service being offered. So you want to know how much you're charging, what you're advertising as far as what those speeds are, and then what the actual speeds are, peak and off-peak actual speeds. And let's see here, include any other data that would be required to comply with any current or future data and mapping collection standards of the FCC. So a lot of this information will be used for mapping. They'll want to know what speeds are being advertised and what the actual speeds are, because they want consumers to be able to go to this national broadband map and see what's available in their area, probably how much it costs and what people are actually getting, what's being promised, those kinds of things. And a lot of this data is going to be used for that. But they also may have other data that they want to collect for that mapping. Now this mapping needs to be in place, needs to be done before any significant funds from this Infrastructure Act can actually be allocated. So they're hoping that that will be done within the 180 days that the NTIA has to start getting this stuff out there to service providers. So this mapping is an important aspect of that. This was part of this mapping was part of a bill that passed actually last year and then was finally signed into law, I believe it was this year, where they have to have better maps. These maps have to be in place, because what we really need to know is where are these kind of dead zones where there's not good broadband before we give anybody any funds to fill up those dead zones. We want to know where they are. So this mapping is important. Comply with any other reasonable reporting requirements determined by the state or the NTIA. So that's really important, because again, anything else that the state or the NTIA decides is important, they're going to require. I think mostly it will come from the NTIA, and then they will pass that down to the states, who will pass it down to you. One thing, for example, would be latency, because one of the things that the Act requires is that the latency be reasonable for interactive kind of services. So they're probably going to be wanting to measure latency in addition to speeds. They're going to be wanting to know, are people having a good experience? Some of this is already in place with programs like CAF2, the Connect America Fund, and RDOF, the Rural Digital Opportunity Fund. So some operators who are taking money from that maybe have already put into place the kinds of testing that they would need that will probably be required for this. So just be aware of that. If you're already doing that, you may have it in place. If not, there are solutions out there. In fact, give us a call. I'll have our number here up and email address in a minute. So we also can help you put in place testing for that. If you have RDOF or something, you're trying to figure that out right now, or for these funds in the future, we do have a solution for that that would work very well. So let us know. And then certify that the information in the report is accurate. Very important. This is quite often in these bills or acts that are providing federal funds. It's very important that you certify this, and that somebody certifies it who is actually sure that everything on there is correct, because there are fines if you were to put in something there that you know is not incorrect. Even if you put it in there and it's not correct, there might be a fine. But if you know it's not correct, there could be really stiff fines from the FCC or maybe the NTIA. Usually the FCC are the people that would do the forfeitures there. So just be aware that when you're certifying to something, you are certifying under penalty of law that what you're saying is correct. Very important. And then finally, you don't need to worry about, again, what these reports, how am I going to know what to report, what format. As part of the Act, there's a development of reporting standards in cooperation between the NTIA and the FCC. So they're going to collaborate to standardize and coordinate reporting of locations at which broadband service was provided using grant funds received. and provide a standardized methodology to recipients of grants and subgrantees for reporting the information described. So they will provide you all of the information. I'm sure it'll be in very great detail, maybe some templates, that kind of thing. They may say for the reporting, for example, it may be exactly the same as they have now for CAF2 and RDOF, or maybe they'll add something, we don't know, but it will be very similar, I would think. So just be prepared for that. And timing-wise on all of this, again, the NTIA, as soon as the act was passed, which was, I believe, the 15th, a week ago, this past Monday, as soon as the act was signed into law, I should say, by President Biden, the clock started on the 180 days that the NTIA has to get out their first notice to service to the states, I should say to the states. So they're going to send out a notice at some point. It could be as late as May 2022, where they're going to send information to the states with the forms that are needed to apply for this, for grants, and all of this information. The reporting stuff may come out then or before then, or it could be after, since there's going to be a period of time where people are going to be building stuff. So we don't know exactly when, but just be prepared that that 180-day clock has started, and that more information will be coming out to the states soon, and I'm sure we'll be seeing more in the news as well. And I'll be reporting that as it comes out. Again, I'll be here every day, so hopefully this was helpful. Again, if you are interested in any services that we provide, in addition to, again, what I mentioned, we could do the testing. We really can do the full gamut for you if this is something that you're struggling with. If you need help, if you need a feasibility study on broadband in your area, if you need construction, engineering, and of course, as we've always done since 1995, managed services for internet service providers, from provisioning of devices, help desk, email services, those kinds of things. We can do all of that. So you see our phone number and our email address right there. So hopefully this was helpful. Give me a thumbs up on the video if it was. Subscribe to our channel if you'd like to hear more every day. Anytime that news is coming out, I'll be live and you can watch that. Click the little bell and click all notifications and you'll get notifications. I found out recently they don't come by email anymore. That was something I was not aware of. So you can get those notifications. You just need to get them, subscribe to them, or set up notifications on your phone. And then you can go into your YouTube on your browser and subscribe to notifications there, and it will pop up in your browser as well. So if you're in the United States, happy Thanksgiving. We've got the Thanksgiving holiday tomorrow, and obviously I won't be here. I will actually be back with this next Wednesday. Actually, I'll be back, next Wednesday will be my next report, because I'm going to be out for a few days as well. So have a great holiday weekend, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.